I always love coming to Cincinnati, but specifically I was here today to speak for the Young Presidents Organization.
What was your message to him?
The things that all of us can do in our sphere of influence to ensure that the next generation has the same kind of opportunities that we've had. And I wanted to make it clear to people that we each share in that responsibility, because everybody has a sphere of influence. And some people have pretty significant spheres. And also, the importance of not buying into the divisiveness that is becoming rampant in our country. Recognizing that, our strength as a nation really lies in our unity and not in being torn apart. I would just say we need to be reasonable and we need to be logical. So obviously, we don't want to do anything that is going to increase the danger to our citizens. At the same time, we want to be compassionate. So if we're going to be looking at vetting processes, we don't have a vetting process declared. We put out something that everybody can scrutinize and comment on and accept. And however long that takes, that's how long it takes. But we don't risk the safety of the American people in that setting. If they've been here for a while and they've settled in, and great. But again, we have to be careful. We have to recognize that if you have a large group of people coming in from an area where there are a lot of radical extremists, that they will infiltrate them. We've seen even today the 5 individuals in Honduras from Syria with fake Greek passports trying to come through the southern border. They're probably not trying to come here for good purposes. So, we have to integrate common sense and compassion both. Of course they should be. Are you kidding? After what happened in France, and also because the terrorists have said that they're coming here, and I don't think they're just blowing smoke. So obviously we need to do everything we can to be vigilant and to try to prevent these things from occurring in our own country. It's not a little plan. A lot of times I notice that in the news media, they want you to say, here it is, right here, one thing. It's not one thing. It's, first of all, declaring war officially and getting all of our allies involved. The whole NATO alliance needs to be involved. All of our friends in the Middle East need to be involved. We need to cut off their money supply throughout the financial markets of the world. We need to cut off the revenues that they can receive from oil, even if it means destroying the oil fields. We need to seal our borders completely so that they can't get in here. We need to deal with the social media empire that they've built, both in terms of countering it and in terms of sabotaging what they've done. We need to be working with clerics and imams and making sure that they understand that if they want our support, they also have to come out and declare a line between the radical jihadists and the good, Muslims who are peaceful people. And they need to make that distinction. Well, I have a lot of plans to do that. It might surprise you, but one of the things would be to get rid of the excessive regulations in our country. Every one of those regulations costs in terms of goods and services. It drives the prices of everything up. It doesn't hurt rich people when they go into the store and a bar of soup costs 10 cents more. It hurts a poor person. They notice that right away. Hurts the middle class. because when they come up to that cash register and they have a whole cart full of things that cost 5 or 10 cents more, it has an impact on their ability to live a quality life. The amount of debt that we have as a nation also impacts upon the poor significantly because it changes our monetary policies. And we have to keep the interest rates very low with an $18.5 trillion debt because the debt service would be so high if you let the interest rates rise to a normal level. And what does that do? Poor people and middle class people used to be able to grow their money by putting it in a savings account. Can't do that anymore. Long-term bonds, nothing. The only people who can make money are people who have risk tolerance, who can utilize the stock market. That tends to be upper income people, again, driving the income gap. So it's really these policies that are creating the real problem for the poor. It's not, as some people would tell you, the rich people, and if we could just take their money, somehow it'll be okay. As long as you have these policies in place, you're going to still have these problems. Well, I've been to 57 different countries. I've lived abroad, and I have common sense and a brain. You know, when you stop and you look at the plethora of people who are running, somehow people assume that because somebody has spent a lot of time in a elected office that they have a lot of foreign policy experience. It's not true. Not true at all. But what is important is, do you have the ability to solve problems? Do you have the ability to think on your feet quickly? I can guarantee you I've had more 2 or 3 in the morning calls than anybody else running and had to make very quick decisions that are life and death decisions. But also in terms of putting together complex teams to accomplish things. It's the same kind of thing you have to do with foreign policy because when you look at, China policy, you look at Russian policy, you look at radical jihadist policies, they're quite complex. And I can guarantee you that nobody who is running is a complete expert on all of those things, but we do have access to experts. And you have to know how to use that information. And you might say, well, Hillary Clinton was running and she was the Secretary of State. Well, case in point, somebody with a lot of experience who obviously didn't do a very good job. So I'm not sure that that is the end all for how you solve these problems. All right, thank you all very much.